everyone, at 1995 here in the video games and fanfiction plot with a new story for you all. It is called His Queen. If you guys don't know, it's another Transformers fanfiction, and I do hope you enjoy this story. And remember, I do not own the Transformers Prime series or this story. I give full credit to its author Syzzy WinterFalls 13 on Quotev. Now on to the story. Fight or be taken out alive. My chest feels like it is going to explode. My eyes feels like they are going to burn out of my skull. Megatron has desecrated the resting place of our fallen ancestors and his own. Ratchet yelled, disgusted. I looked up, growling at the approaching dead. Not even the dead are free from his warmongering. Optimus declared, taking a fighting stance. Destroy them. Megatron yelled, and the dead warriors started to hobble towards us. Well, I don't know about you, I said, taking a deep breath, feeling my lungs glow with heat, but I think these corpses need to be cremated. I roared out, the fire blazing within my chest, standing upright on my hind legs. Landing with a thud, I turned around, smoke rising from my flared nostrils. Optimus started to shoot at the ones I missed, but they don't seem to be affected. Optimus, if our combatants are only deceased, how can we possibly defeat them? Ratchet yelled, stumbling backwards. Have you watched any zombie movies? I yelled, and snapped my tail open. If you're going to shoot them, use an actual bullet. If not, use a blade. I snapped my tail forward, unleashing the metal shears, and sent them flying forwards. Making sure they embedded themselves into the corpses, I took that advantage, and used my extremely low body temperature to its intended use. Freezing the closest ones. The ice covered the ground, spreading to its next victim. Molly, Ratchet, retreat. Optimus yelled at us, keeping the dead at bay, bridge yourselves back to base. I looked at Optimus like he was crazy. Optimus, there are at least 17 different ways this could wrong. Me and Ratchet leaving you behind is number one. I shouted, stepping in front of them both. And I shall stand with you, Optimus. Ratchet proclaimed, transforming his servos into blades. You both may require a medic when this is over with. He ran forwards, stabbing a walker. I leapt up, using my wings to glide. I tackled a rust bucket. As it growled and hissed at me, I roared, and shoved my claws deep into its chest, tearing out wires. The dark energon dripped onto my scales, making me screech in pain. I held my claw, cradling it against my chest. Molly. I looked up, and saw Optimus running towards me. I'm fine, Optimus. I said, as Optimus knelt down. It's just a flesh wound. I whimpered, and got up, stabbing a carcass with my tail. Let's finish this. I growled, spreading my wings. Optimus nodded, and blasted one. Ratchet cut off a zombie's arm, and it withered on the ground, dead. I recommend dissection. The smaller pieces, the better. I nodded, Optimus looking towards him. Sound advice, old friend. Optimus transformed his blasters into swords. I watched him attack the mob. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I said, and hissed. I flew up, and dived towards a group, scratching my claws against the metal. The scrape made my fangs hurt, like nails on a chalkboard. Galloping towards the two meshes, I swung my hind legs over my head, putting my forelegs on the ground for a boost. Tearing up the two, I flipped over. I pulled my wings skin tight to my body. Landing next to Optimus, I smirked. Megatron yelled over the fight, I have mastered Dark Energon. When you fall, Optimus, you, too, shall join my army. Along with Her Royal Majesty as an ally. I widened my eyes, and growled, wanting to tear him to shreds. We advanced forwards. My eyes glowed with rage. My back spines, glowing blue. I pushed off the ground, swiping my claws through the old metal with ease. My mind was spiked. Rage and adrenaline melted into one big, fiery mess within me. It would be a waste releasing my fury now. I followed Prime, attacking any that got behind him. I tripped the zombies with my tail, and whipped it forwards, sending out the metal shears. I breathed in, and shot out icy shards that impaled on impact. I could hear the frost crunching with each movement a target made. My ears rung as I hissed, shaking my body vigorously to get a corpse off. Stubborn little piece of scrap, get off me. I heard a blast, and the weight decreased. I turned my snake-like neck, and saw Optimus with his blaster smoking. Thanks. I said, smiling. The growling got louder, and I looked ahead. We were surrounded on all sides. We walked towards each other till we were back to back, I standing on my hind legs, now taller than Prime. Optimus, Ratchet panted, this prolonged exposure to dark energon is sapping our strength. My heart beated faster, how come I'm not affected? We cannot falter now. Optimus said, and we ran off in 3 directions. The Walking Dead staggered towards us. We were outnumbered greatly. The bots couldn't bear much strength any longer. The undead pulled Optimus to the ground, and I could feel them start to pull me by my wings. Optimus! I screamed, as he disappeared under a pile. I narrowed my eyes in anger, and released the boiling radiation that was scorching my throat. The hot blaze tore through the mob, and I flew up. My wings pushed upwards, creating a blast of air on the ground. As I rose higher and higher, I was becoming leveled with the silver mech that started this. Well done, Your Highness. You have well exceeded my expectations. He yelled, motioning to my strength alone. I roared, and dove down, the air channeling around my folded wings. My jaws flew open, and the energy gathered up in the back of my throat. In a large flame, the gathered up radiation was concentrated to create a blade of fire. I soared down, and released the tension on my wings, throwing me back as I set ablaze to the gathering monsters. I saw sparks fly off a toppling corpse, as Optimus fought the pile above him. He roared in anger as well, but it was too human-like. He threw the dead body on the ground, and shot one in front of him. Damn! I whispered, staring. I looked over to poor Ratchet, who was getting beat up as we speak. I stalked over behind one, and threw it off. Optimus took the 2 other ones and smashed their heads together. You okay? I asked Ratchet, pulling him up. Besides being brought down by a couple of resurrected Cybertronians? Ratchet said, I'm peachy. We ran towards Megatron, who seemed to be giving orders. With the bots regaining their strength through will, and I fighting alongside, the approaching army wasn't much of a chore. My tails scissored ahead, and a good flip caused one to be crushed to dust. Darting forward, we halted, looking up. I heard Megatron speak, but my claws were already digging into the solid earth. I used my wing talons to aid my speed, and I was at the top in seconds. I looked down, and saw Optimus scaling up as well. He was struggling, but he still made it. I crawled around to where I was facing Megatron's backside, a vulnerable attack point. Fitting, for it is dark energon which flows through mine. I leapt forward, pushing my wings up. I lunged, hissing at the warlord. He slipped between my claws. I did manage to get a few deep scratches before he soared off into the clouds. Optimus was firing his blaster, but it was no use now. I stood next to Optimus, growling violently. Ratchet managed to pull himself up to the top, but Optimus and I had to pull him up to his feet. If this wasn't Megatron's endgame, what is? Ratchet questioned, looking down at the graveyard as it was before we arrived. We were ground-bridged back, and as I limped out of the portal, I could feel the teen's stares once again. Is that a dragon? Maiko yelled, pulling her hands to her face. It can't be. Raph said, pushing up his glasses, dragons don't exist. Jack just stood there shaking. I looked at them, and sighed. Wait, where's Molly? Maiko shouted, looking around. It's time. I sighed, closing my eyes. Hi Maiko. I said, head down. Her, Jack, and Raph's eyes large into the size of saucepans. Molly? You're a dragon? Maiko screamed, putting her hands to her mouth. I nodded, guiltily. I didn't want you to find out this way. Or ever. I said, looking at the wall. I was holding my claw up, and a pain was blistering in my left thigh. Optimus saw my distress, and walked over to my side. Molly, you're injured. He said, taking my claw in his servo and inspecting it. I'm fine, seriously. It's no big deal, I whimpered, my scales feeling like they are being torn off my flesh. My eyes grew tears, as I looked up. I gritted my teeth, and limped over to a wall, trying to gently lay down. Maiko, in my bag is the syringe case, could you get it? I asked, sighed, resting my large head on the cold floor. Maiko hesitated, and walked over to where I set my messenger bag. She took out the case, and she carried it to me, walking up slowly. Thanks, Mick. I said, adding the nickname I gave her. I carefully opened up the case, and took out a relatively large roll of elastic wrap bandages. Optimus knelt beside me, as I struggled to wrap my claw. Dang it! I murmured, getting impatient. Let me help. Optimus said, and started wrapping it. I blushed, but the scales hid it. Thank God. When Optimus finished, he looked over to my thigh. What? I asked, and looked to my quad. There were 3 gashes in my upper muscle, which was starting to scab up. I can handle that myself, I stated, and pushed Optimus away. He looked to me, and walked to Ratchet, helping him with his arm. He put it in a metal sling, and welded it together. It looked sorta like a straitjacket. Michael looked worried, and her and the boys were staring at me. What happened to you guys, anyways? She asked. I wanted to shift, be back in human form so I could talk to Maiko without scaring her. Ratchet, holding his arm, answered, we engaged an army of the undead Cybertronian warriors. Maiko raised an eyebrow, zombies? You fought zombies and I missed it? She stomped her foot. I rolled my eyes, trust me Maiko, you did not want to be there. Maiko looked to me, and I guess she was still in shock, 'cause she just nodded really quickly. Bulkhead, you exercised extremely poor judgment in allowing the humans to accompany you, Optimus stated, and I looked on, trying to figure out a way to put my friendship with Maiko back on. It won't happen again, Optimus. I promise. But it wasn't Bulkhead's fault. Maiko stood up, walking towards the edge. Maiko, please. Bulkhead begged. And check it out. Maiko said, pulling out her phone, Recon. I looked at the small image, but it was hard since I wasn't closer. Optimus inclined to look. Ratchet, have a look. It could be of importance to Megatron. Maiko smirked, but her moment of victory was short-lived. Jack walked up, waving his hands. Whoa! Megatron's back? That's really bad news, right? I scoffed, getting up slowly. Jack, imagine Hitler, Stalin, Napoleon, and frigging Voldemort rolled into one being and compressed into a big ball of hate. That's how bad it is. I shouted, flapping my wings in exaggeration. I saw the kids flinch, and I calmed down. I scared them. Ratchet walked over to Maiko, and looked at the picture. Maiko. That's a Decepticon. I don't understand. Ratchet said, looking back at Optimus. Maiko turned her phone towards her face. Oops. That's the con who tried to blow Ref away. At least, that's what he looked like before Bulkhead rearranged his grill. Maiko, Ref almost got killed. This isn't a game. Jack yelled, flailing his arms, when are you gonna get that through your thick skull? I could tell Maiko was finally learning some self-control, as she talked back. We were all almost killed, Jack, you, me, Raph, Molly, even them. She crossed her arms. Guys, stop this. You're working yourselves up. I shouted, trying to keep cool under the flaring argument. Well, if this was just an average day with the Autobots, then I don't want to be a part of it, not anymore. My eyes flickered between them, and noticed Treff in the back. I knew he doesn't like fighting. And I don't either. Jack. I heard Optimus interrupted, and I turned my head. Why does he interest me so? Putting you in harm's way was never our intent. However, it is no longer the safety of you four that is at risk, but the safety of all human and animal kind. I saw him glance towards me, and I lowered my eyes away. We will respect your decision if you wish to leave. The ground bridge turned on, and I saw my chance. I, painfully, shifted. Leaping from my spot in mid-shift, I tackled Jack to the ground, in werewolf form. "Jack, heed my words," I snarled, pushing him onto the floor. "Life throws in some crazy SHT, I know that. And you try to avoid the obstacles that make you want to abandon it altogether. But no matter how hard you run, it always catches up on you. And the more you run," I lean my snout towards his ear, "the more pain you will feel when you are thrown back in." I crawled off of him, and stood up at 6 feet 3 inches. Trying to walk on two legs was causing a struggle, my thigh begging to be rested. I dropped to all fours, and shrugged my dead weight and fur to Maiko's side. She and Ref looked down at me and looked back to see Jack leaving base. On the Nemesis. "Please, Lord Megatron, I meant no." Starscream was flung back, his heels scraping the floor. "I ordered you to await my command." Megatron snarled, and threw his second-in-command to the side. Forcefully. Starscream bounced off the floor, and landed with a thud. "Instead, your mindless agenda resulted in the disabling of my ship." Megatron's shadow loomed over the beaten Seeker like the Grim Reaper, and the delay of my plans. Starscream sat up, scooting backwards with every step the Decepticon leader took. "My intentions were pure, Master. I only wanted you to be rid of Optimus." His voice cracked, and Megatron splendid on Starscream's helm. "No one rids me of Optimus Prime but me. Do you understand? Do you?" Megatron yelled, applying immense pressure onto Starscream's head. "Lord Megatron, I will make things right. I swear." Starscream choked, "I know how to set your plans back on course." Megatron lifted his foot, and grabbed Starscream by the neck, pulling him up to his face. "Explain, Starscream, quickly." Megatron squeezed Starscream's neck, cutting a Venergon flow to Starscream's head. "It involves help from human technology." Starscream wheezed. The warlord narrowed his eyes, furrowing his brows. He threw Starscream to the side, the commander landing on his side. "The only thing that you have done well so far since my return is alerting me about the Queen," Megatron said, turning his back. "She is a strong fighter, a very worthy ally indeed." The drive home was pretty quiet. I was still stressed from the fight. This day did not go as planned. I mumbled, looking out the window. "Your injuries seem to be healing just fine," Optimus pointed out, and I looked at my, now, healed hand. "Optimus, Maiko wasn't supposed to find out. No human ever was. The only ones that knew previously were Shield and a few others. Animlia was renamed Russia for a reason." I counted the seconds, wishing I was back in the forest, looking at the stars. Pulling up into my driveway, I sighed, grabbing my bag and getting out. "Molly." I turned to Optimus, eyes dull. "We're here to protect Earth. But that doesn't mean we won't help the individual beings that we accompany. I am your guardian, so I am here for you if you need any help." I smiled at him, nodding. "Thank you." I turned, and walked into my garage, treading up the stairs, and curled up on my bed. Dreaming about what's to come. Well, that's the ending of that chapter. I do hope you enjoy this video. If you like to see more, remember to hit that like button, subscribe to this channel, and leave a comment down below. Until next time.